Welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Cameron. A little change up of things. I'm joined here with the Futro Hidden Movie Gems crew. We have Jordan.
It's HEL hockey stick. Hell.
And we're also joined by our guest, Brighton.
Hello.
Wow, that's the best you can do.
That's the best I can do.
I have compassion for every soul, Brighton, except you. I don't like you.
That was so good. Dang it.
Perfect. So today we're reviewing the movie Soul. Soul is a film. Hold on, pretty sure it's 2020. Yeah, perfect. Soul was made in 2020, directed by, where is it? Anyone know who it's directed by? I'm not sure why I can't find it. I'm struggling right now.
I know it's the same people that did Inside Out, which...
Okay, perfect. Directed by Pete Docter, and Kemp Powers was also a co-director. And then the writers were Pete Docter and then Mike Jones. And then it stars Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, Graham Norton, Rachel House, Elise Braga, Richard Ayoade, and then a bunch of other people.
Well, and what's the lady's, not Jerry, she's Terry, the one that was like checking all the things. Who is she, Cameron?
Rachel House.
Rachel,
from
okay.
Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yes.
No child left behind. No child left behind. That's our motto. At least it's mine. Perfect. So we're just going to go around starting off with what you like, or what was it like watching for the first time, and then rewatching for the podcast if you had a chance to watch it twice. Why don't we start with Brighton?
Okay. So I feel like I should explain. I texted Cameron after I watched it for the first time, and I was like, have you seen Soul yet? And he hadn't at that time, so we watched it, so thank you.
Great recommendation.
And it was so good. I think what I really, really, really loved about it is that it feels so real. And then after I finished, I cried like a literal baby when I watched it the first time and the second time, if I'm being honest. And I obviously had to watch all of the little like tidbits that they have after, and on like Disney Plus or whatever. And I absolutely love the score. It was like a vast majority of it was improv, and the parts that weren't were written by the dude from 9 Inch Nails, which is just like the coolest thing I've ever heard. So I think that's what I loved about it. I think that the music was obviously the music was a huge part of the movie, but I don't think it was ever distracting from the plot line. If anything, it just like assisted in moving it forward, which is just beautiful. I loved it. Executed perfectly.
Perfect. Yeah. So for me, kind of like Brian said, she was the one that mentioned it to me. I actually have the text that she sent me. She just said, have you seen Soul? Just, that was it. And I was like, no, not yet. I haven't seen it. And then she explained how it was so good. She mentioned how she sobbed like a baby and that I needed to watch it. So, I mean, definitely I took her advice and I checked it out. And I'm one of my favorite animated films of all time is Inside Out. I think it's in my top 10 for animated. It's like, I think it might even be top 5. I just love psychology, and so for me it was almost like Inside Out was like mentioning a little bit of like the color code system, if you know about that. So I really loved Soul. Watching it on the first time, I watched it with my roommates. It was funny, everyone was playing video games around me, and then a lot of people had already seen it, and every single person I talked to that I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch Soul tonight, everyone was like, oh yeah, it's such a good movie. And I just heard like a bunch of different things from everyone. So I tried to keep my expectations low, but watching it was a great experience. Very well done. Super great message at the end as well.
It's hard to keep it low.
I've only seen it once.
It's hard to keep it low when it's made by freaking Disney and Pixar. Goodness gracious.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
The bar is high.
What about you, Jordan? What was it like watching it for the first time?
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it last week. I thought we were going to watch it together as a family when we got together at Christmas, but I was surprised nobody wanted to watch it. Or I guess we just had so many other things we wanted to do. So I
Too
just,
many poker games going on.
yeah. But yeah, ended up watching it, loved it, obviously cried a lot the first time, and I wasn't planning to rewatch it again. But today I'm like, I've got a little bit of time before the podcast, so I watched again, and goodness gracious, if it isn't amazing. I was actually editing while I was watching, so the second time I wasn't paying as much attention to, so I didn't get to cry this time. But still just as powerful.
That's a shame.
Actually, I think I got a bit teary-eyed. I just wasn't like sobbing like in the first time. I was like, oh my gosh. That first viewing really gets to you.
It was an ugly cry, an ugly sob, a loud cry. Somebody could hear it from outside of my room. So bad. Oh, so good.
And I just want to give a disclaimer to everyone that's listening that if you don't cry, it means you do have a soul. You still have a soul. I was told that if I didn't cry in Schindler's List that I didn't have a soul, and that single-handedly made me not want to cry. And I didn't cry, and everyone was like, "Wow, you have no soul." What did make me sob like a baby? The Perks of Being a
Well, it just solidified that you were a serial killer. That's all it did.
Perks of Being a Wallflower. That movie made me sob.
I should say the only other movie that's ever made me cry was Inside Out. And then, of course, I'm watching all these videos after, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's by the same people. And I was like, obviously, this guy knows way more about myself than I do.
Did you cry when, is it Beep Bop? What's the guy's name?
Bing Bong?
Bing Bong.
No, I cried.
Bing Bong?
I cried when Riley's on the bus, and her circuit board just shuts off. I was like, oh, my gosh.
Brighton related a little bit too much to the character at that moment.
I might have. But either way, it was good.
That's awesome. Okay, perfect. And then, so start off with two of your favorite things about this movie, starting off with Brighton.
Okay. Well, the first thing I already mentioned was the score. I think it was absolutely beautiful. The scene...
Are you a fan of jazz music?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I do like jazz.
That was an aggressive yes.
A cultured
Yeah.
woman. Wow.
It was just absolutely incredible. I think the one scene when he's going and he's kind of getting in the zone again or whatever,
Yeah.
that was improv. It was all improv, which I think was absolutely beautiful. I think there's a certain respect that has to be paid to jazz music to be able to let it like drive your film, because I feel like sometimes like jazz that isn't necessarily done well doesn't necessarily move forward. So I think it was done incredibly well, obviously, because the film was a masterpiece. I freaking loved it, and I will never say a bad thing about this film. My other favorite thing about this film, I think, was about how much it makes you just stop and think about the really, really, really beautiful things in the world. And they don't necessarily have to be loud and in your face all the time and like, hey, appreciate me. But I think the things that really made Soul 22 like want to live were just the tiniest little things that she felt when she was just living and like when she had the chance to experience things. So, and I think that's a mature enough perspective for anybody to take on, like whether it's like I don't know if this movie was actually catered for like 6-year-olds. Like I think the coloring was really beautiful, so maybe they did that, but like I really think it was made for like us you know, because that was such a huge message and powerful message that like there's so much beauty to be found in the small little nuances. So yeah, that's what I loved.
Well, for a kid's movie, it felt awfully dark. I was like, goodness gracious.
The Great Beyond.
Yeah.
I was like, we're gonna talk about The Great Beyond with my 2-year-old niece that's watching this.
I know, and now I'm going to talk about, like, heaven or anything, like, be optimistic. It's just, like, the great beyond. You just see people going on, like, a conveyor belt almost as sheep, and he's just like, go the other way, and they're like, what?
Well, I'm talking about going inside her dark side of her mind. Like, that stuff's dark.
Oh my gosh. It was so dark.
Yeah.
Just, like, all her negative thoughts and stuff. I'm just like, geez, this is
Jordan,
adult for kids.
And that was such a powerful scene, though. Like, that scene was when I was audibly sobbing. Because, like, I don't know what 8-year-old could relate to that, but I think pretty much everybody else could. So, it was really good.
Yeah, 8-year-olds are a little too innocent to understand. Jordan, what about you? What are two of your favorite things from Soul?
So I'm a mama's boy, so what really got me in tears was him and his relationship to his mom. That just really hit hard and home for me. And then going off of what was kind of already said, just that ending with her and her thoughts. I love the whole moment of just like realizing, um, your real purpose in life isn't necessarily like your achievements, but the people that you've come in contact with and the people and the relationships you've cultivated and the experiences you've shared with them. And I like that this girl, 22, helped him realize that. Very powerful feeling. Just such a good movie. Goodness gracious. I mean, Disney always gets me at the end. I thought when I was watching this, I'm like, I think I'm going to make it through this time without crying. Gosh dang it. It got me at the end there.
Perfect. And do you have anything else? Or is it kind of both those things?
Well, yeah, I said 2, but if you want, I can do 3.
Oh, no, I what were the 2? I thought it was just, you just said the mama's boy and then it was just the message?
Yeah. Is that not 2?
Okay.
Are they together?
No, that's good. No, it's perfect. I think my 2 things was, first thing, I love it when film kind of takes a unique perspective on certain things. And so I really loved how they did the perspective of him being able to see his life kind of from a third person like point of view. I think that's something super interesting that I've always wondered and always wanted to kind of have, is I've always wanted to kind of be like the fly on the wall in situations with myself, or like with when I'm not there, to kind of know and understand like what people think. And I really love that scene where he's like, well, it was like super nice, like not talking about jazz. It was like nice that you actually asked me kind of about my family. And it kind of just made me think about, like our instinct is naturally we want to try to connect with people. So instantly when we're talking to somebody, if they mention where they're from or something like that, we automatically will say, oh, I have a friend who's from there, or I know someone from there. And like often we try to like connect in a way that like makes us not pay attention to the details and the things that they say to us. So it almost like disconnects us. So I think it's super interesting that someone that he's known for so long, he had just such like a basic relationship with, and all it took was for him to ask one simple question about, well, technically 22, to ask a simple question about his family for him to just really open up. And I feel like that's kind of how a lot of people are. Jordan, I just see Jordan smiling.
I know. Because I'm about to burst out laughing. Sorry. It's just because that same scene is one of my favorite jokes when the guy, and she's like, wait, I wrote it down here. He's like, oh, he's just criticizing me to cover up his own failed dreams. And then the best line in the movie where he turns around and goes, "You cut deep, Joe." Oh my gosh.
That scene was pretty, I thought it was pretty cheesy. But one thing that really, sorry, lost my train of thought.
Yeah, Cameron, you cut deep.
Cut deep. Okay, yeah. Then my second thing that I really enjoyed about the film.
Sorry,
dude. I can't remember. I can't remember what my freaking second thing was.
But okay, I gotta say another thing. If you want me to go again, I'll say something. When the guy gets taken into that portal, and then she pulls out his soul, and he's just floating there with his eyes wide. Greatest moment in cinema history. And then she's like, "Oh shoot!" And she like puts the soul back in him, realizes she has the wrong guy. Can you imagine being pulled into like the great beyond? Somebody pulls out your soul and then puts it back in your body, and it's like, "Hey, sorry for doing that. Make sure you don't."
Yeah, that part kind of reminded me of Doctor Strange when like they like hit each other like out of their spirits or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I felt that one time. I tried to do a double backflip off of a rope swing, and I hit my back, and I felt like my soul left my body for a couple of seconds. I was like, "This is what Doctor Strange felt like." Holy crap! What was my second thing that I really loved? It's kind of going along the lines of what Jordan was talking about, was just the overall message. And that's kind of what I really thought was interesting, is like the thought they're trying to provoke. It was like, why? I really like what 22 says, is she asks like, why would I want to live on a place so boring? She's like, I already know the ins and outs of Earth. Like, why would I want to, if you like kind of look at it, focus on all the bad things, she's like, why would I want to have to go through all of that stuff? And then I thought what was interesting, what I really liked, is it wasn't like something super special that kind of pushed her over the edge or have the desire to go do it. and go actually live. It wasn't like, oh, I had this great speech. Like, I love how she had talked to Abraham Lincoln, like Mother Teresa, like everyone's like, you're the worst, and like you're like a terrible human being. And so that's what I really enjoyed, is that the thing that kind of pushed her over the edge was just everyday life. And I think that's what a lot of films do really well. And the films that do that, like, always kind of leave me with that after feeling of like super, I don't know, like appreciative and like joyful, is you kind of like learn to just appreciate the little things. Because that's what, like, at the time when I was watching Soul, I had like a bunch of like schoolwork, and then I had work at the same time, and just like a lot of things like piling up, and I'm like, oh frick, there's too much to do. And then it kind of just made me realize, I'm just like, there's so many great things to kind of be appreciative of in life that like it sometimes we just get caught up on the dumb stuff. And I just kind of, as a side note, I really thought it was funny is the part when Joe's asking 22 if she likes jazz, and she's like, no. He's like, she's like, nothing at all? He's like, oh no, not jazz. She's like, just music. I don't like music sounds. I feel like it's a little too much. Which, coming from a person who I like am 24/7 listening to music, I was just like, that's what I thought. Jordan was like, you cut deep, Joe. You cut deep. 22 is like, because literally like music is like the biggest part of me. And I think it's funny because when I was like in 8th grade, I remember I didn't like music at all. And I remember people ask me, like, what's your favorite type of music? I'm like, I don't really like music. And then everyone's like, what's wrong with you? Like, crucifying me for saying something like that. And then after that, it's become such a, like, important part of me. So I understand why it's so important to Joe.
Well, that was the same thing for movies, too. You were never that into movies growing up until...
Yeah, and then you showed me Inglourious and my life changed. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what great cinema is like. And then you showed me Zodiac and Nightcrawler and Prisoners. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I think that's what's kind of cool. Just started kind of going on another thing. I'm kind of going on a little bit long, but I really love how they talked about how your purpose or your spark isn't your purpose, because I feel like that kind of gets confused a lot in like today. Like I love, he's like, well, no, I was born to play the piano, and then one of the Jerrys is just like super playing. He's like, oh, your spark isn't your purpose. Like obviously it's not your purpose, and I kind of think about that like in like the like eternal scheme of things, whatever, like something that like a hobby or like a passion that we have isn't the reason like why we're here. And I kind of felt like we can kind of talk about that a little bit later, what we thought was 22 Spark, which I thought was super interesting. Perfect. And so going to nitpicks or plot holes, do any of you guys have any nitpicks or plot holes from the movie?
I watched some videos about some people nitpicking, but right away I was like, did he not understand the movie? Because he was saying something about like if the guy can just like, why did he want to go through that portal if he could just get through the portal to his body the other way with the little what is that, the Zen hippie guy gets him through the portal, the other portal, to get back to his body. So they're like, why was it such a big deal to get through the other portal, you know?
Yeah.
It's really just, I thought it was because Terry was there to take him back, you know? The only reason he didn't get taken back is because the other Jerrys helped him out. So, but I don't know. I felt like that was answered away pretty quickly, so I don't know why he was complaining about it, but...
Yeah, only a slight nitpick, which I'm like, from like a critic point of view, I would say, like, I don't know, I thought it was like a little, or not enough consequences kind of for his actions. I thought he kind of got off a little too scot-free with being like, well, we'll give you a second chance because you helped 22. Because I thought it would have kind of been more beautiful that he accepted. He's like, I lived my life.
I felt like that hurts the ending.
I thought that would have been the perfect ending. It'd be like, I lived my life, and like I got to make a difference for someone.
Yes.
And allow 22 to live like a life almost for him. And so that's when he kind of went back, I was like, I don't know, like if he should go back. I don't know if that was deserved.
I felt like it resolved really quickly, and it resolved too well.
Yeah. Yeah, because
it set it up too much for like a sequel. I was like, oh, that's not an ending. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think that was what was so beautiful about Inside Out, is like Bing Bong, he like drops off the whatever cart and he's like gone, like forever. He doesn't come back. But like when they're both like flying towards Earth and he just has to watch 22 go to Earth, like I think I would have been content if it was like, no, he's okay with her, you know? So I thought it was weird how they like went back on themselves and let him go back.
Yeah, because they were kind of setting it up for perfect. Because they're like all of the Jerrys were asking him like, what was the secret, kind of to like doing that. And then I thought it would have been really cool, and I thought he could have been the perfect what do you call it, counselor or advisor to help other spirits like get ready.
Well, I think, I'm not trying to get political here, but I think it's because a lot, if you look, no, I'm serious, but if you look at film history, like black people are always saving white people. And so I think that was like a big, like, no. So they're like, we need to make sure he doesn't die because it's.
But this is really interesting because you don't even know what color 22 is.
Yeah, but
She's
she
just
is
a
played by a
little
white
soul.
woman's voice, but you know.
Right. I mean, right.
But
I don't know.
I see what you're saying. No, I totally agree. But I'm just saying because they even had to change the ending to what's the Get Out, Cameron, because they're like, we need to give more happy endings to black people because they're
I didn't even care about the black. They needed to give that movie at least like a breath of like to let you breathe, man. I was stressing out that entire movie.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
that's why I think they
hallelujah.
changed this ending too, that he got a second chance, because it's like we don't give them I don't know, enough in movies, because they do. They always have really depressing endings. So
It's true.
I don't know. I felt very little to no political like agenda.
well,
Like,
no,
in the
I
movie.
didn't think it did. I'm just saying that they do have Disney has a checklist, and so I feel like that was on the checklist. I imagine.
Yeah,
I don't know.
possibly. Yeah, and it was funny just watching this movie. I had watched Whiplash a couple weeks ago, and so I couldn't like stop thinking about like jazz music that way.
You watched Whiplash? Did
Yeah,
you
I
like
watched-
it?
Yeah, it was really
So
freaking good.
freaking
Holy
good.
cow! Whiplash is kind of similar to Soul with like a abrupt ending that I was like, wait, what? As soon as like the credits rolled, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Not necessarily a nitpick. I'm just not a fan of jazz at all. This movie did it all right, and that's why I'm sorry to say that, but I just don't like jazz music.
Oh my gosh.
Not even a little bit. But this movie was done really well, so.
Okay, I won't fight you.
She's about to sob. She's about to cry audibly right now.
I've already sobbed enough.
The music, I love the music though in the Great Before. That
By the dude in 9 Inch
yeah,
Nails.
which is crazy because his music
That's
is wild.
insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job. I thought they did a pretty good job of being objective and portraying kind of like pre-mortal existence, like pre-Earth life, and then also kind of post how do you say it? Post-death. I don't even know how to say it anymore. Post-mortal life. I don't know if that makes sense, but I really enjoyed that, and I absolutely love what's her name, Rachel House. She's in, as I mentioned in the beginning, she's from Hunt for the Wilder People. She's so funny. I love
amazing.
kind of the part where she like is going through the file cabinets or whatever, and then you see there's just like billions and billions of cabinets. And I was like, oh my gosh, this like lady's so psycho, just like Hunt for the Wilder People. Perfect. And then
Oh, and then did you recognize the other voice? Do you ever watch the IT Crowd, Cameron, or no?
IT Crowd? I haven't heard that.
Oh, okay. He's the other spirit. He's the other Jerry. Anyways, he's really funny. He also did the robot voice in Mandalorian, but he's starting to make his appearance in a lot more stuff now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's funny. You should watch the IT Crowd. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I got so many other things on my list, dude. I've got way too much going on.
Well, put it at the top.
Perfect. So then we just want to go into favorite quotes.
Yeah, I got a couple.
We want to start with Brighton. Do you have any?
You guys should go first.
Okay.
So she's like, this is the Great Before. And then she's like, oh, but we're calling it Use Mayor or something, Use Minor. And she's like, we're rebranding. I don't know why, but that made me laugh really hard when she said that.
Yeah, I really love the what's it called? The part where they're like just kind of destroying Joe, and like he's in the office. He's like, Joe, we didn't struggle to give you an education so you could be a middle-aged man washing your underwear in my shop. I was like, jeez, my man's doing his best. Okay, get off his back.
Okay, I love when they have those old school training videos and it's like an old VHS, you know, it's like all scratchy and stuff. And the guy's talking and he's like, this person's gonna be this, and then he's like, and this person's gonna be a manipulative megalomaniac, intensely opportunistic, and then he's like, wow, this one's gonna be a handful, but that's Earth's problem. I love that line.
I love it.
I love the part when right after Joe dies, and he's like, no, listen. He's like, I have a gig tonight. I can't die now. And they're like, well, I don't really think you have a lot to say about this. He's like, yes, I do. I'm not dying the very day I get my shot. I'm overdue. And then I love when he starts like running the other way, and then people are like, I don't think you're supposed to go that way. He's like, this can't happen. I'm not dying today. Not when my life just started. I thought that was kind of cool. When he's talking about like how his life just started, and that's what kind of like I felt like was the overall message that he had to learn, was like if he considered his life based on his like music career, then yeah, his life had just started, and he was kind of like overlooking all the things that made his life great and important, because he was kind of like neglecting. And I think he probably got that from his mom, because he felt like he had to be a perfect artist and be the best in order to even get any respect from his mom. Because then like she opened up at that one part where she's like, well, no, I really do. She's like, you're not a failure to me or whatever. She's like, I have like you're like everything I ever wanted.
Well, the line that really hit me when he was talking to his mom was like, he said, if I die today, my life would have amounted to nothing. That hit me hard. I was like, geez.
Yeah, not something you want an 8-year-old to hear. Like,
Brighton, we're taking them all. Do you got one?
Sorry, what'd you say?
I said we're taking them all. Do you got one before we?
Oh. Well, the part where she's like, you can't crush a soul here. That's Earth's job.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
That was really good. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I just thought like the whole dialogue in The Great Before. It's like
yes.
The Quiet Coyotes. Quiet Coyotes.
Quiet Coyotes. And every single thing that Jerry says, she has the most soothing voice I've ever heard in my life. I don't know what it is about it, and I've tried to like dissect like the tone of her voice and like figure out what it is that like literally makes me freak out, but I don't know, it's so soothing.
Oh, totally agree.
Her voice is super awesome.
Yeah, I was thinking that this viewing too. I was totally thinking how amazing her voice is, and
it's
then
beautiful.
Yeah, and then more quotes from The Great Beyond. She's like, well, she's like, time's not a thing here, and then one of the Jerry's is like, time's up. So they do lots of little things like that. I love just when the little kids are discovering more things about themselves. It just reminds me of The Sims, and like figuring out what you want your characters to be. And one of the little kids is like, I'm insecure. The other one's like, I'm self-absorbed. I love.
Yes, when she's like getting them off of her, and she's like, you're going to be aloof. And you too as well. Why not?
I thought it was kind of a sadistic like point of view of personality. This is kind of like, it's just whatever, it's just whimsical. Like I think it's a very like kind of worldly view, just like, oh yeah, it's just luck, or you guys go over there, just random chance of like what personality you're gonna get. I'm like, this is like the most important thing ever. And they're just gonna like, it's my random chance. You guys are gonna be the crazy ones. You guys are gonna be like the arrogant ones.
Well, I love too when he goes to I love movies about people adapting to society, and so her whole adapting is really funny. I love when she's 22 is in our main character's body. Is it Joe? Who's the main character? What's his name? Joe. So yeah, when he's in Joe's body and she's he's like, make sure you kiss her. So he like kisses her right on the lips. Like, I love that.
That was pretty awesome.
And then of course one of the best lines at the end too, and I should have said that at the beginning, Cameron, is how you gonna live your life. I just like that. That was good.
That's my favorite line is I think it's the final line delivered in the film, is when he says, like, what are you gonna do with the rest of your life? And he says, I don't know. I just know I'm gonna live every day. Which I thought was super cool, that he's just kind of talking about, like, he understands that there doesn't have to be some, like, super big event to go on in his life, but he's like, I'm going to make sure that I live and appreciate every single day. And I think it's funny because how it always takes humans a near-death experience, usually, to get that perspective. Like, there's, like, so many different things that could kill us every single day, but we're like, I'm going to keep living till I'm 85. Like, we just have that assumption. And so it's until you get, like, super close, like, or a near-death experience, for you to be like, Maybe I should appreciate every single day like that I am out here. Is there any other quotes that you guys have? I just thought it's super funny how she kind of explained how her voice. She's like, all of this is because he's like, why do you sound like a middle-aged white lady? And that's what Joe asks 22, and she's like, I don't. Yeah. This is all an illusion. He's like, what? Like, this whole place is hypothetical. 22 is telling him, and she's like, I use this voice because it annoys people. It's like, it's very effective. Yeah.
Which was a jab at Tina Fey.
Yeah,
her voice isn't even that annoying.
I guess that is like a serious jab.
Maybe you guys will hate me for this, but I am not a fan of Tina Fey. Like, I'm glad she's getting work, but I could not get into 30 Rock. I don't know.
I'm not, don't worry, Jordan, I'm not her biggest fan either. I'm trying to think of a single thing that I've seen in her that I really liked.
Exactly.
It's the same thing with the actor in the new Wonder Woman movie in 1984, the villain, Cheetah. I'm not a fan of her. She is rubbish. Perfect. Any deeper meanings from the movie, or what's the message to you, Brighton?
Well, I think we've kind of already talked about it, but
yeah. Well, what was the message to you? And then Jordan will just.
I think we kind of already went into the message, though, Cameron.
Well, I just want to hear her say it, like what she thought her message was, because I kind of already talked about it, and you did as well. And then we'll just do recommend, and then what she's seen lately.
Okay, so my takeaway from it, I guess, was that...
Yeah, did you have any other thoughts? Yeah.
Do I have any other thoughts about it? Or, like, what the greatest message is?
No, yeah, you just... Whatever comes to your heart.
Okay, then I have two things. I think the funniest scene in the film was when they're talking about getting in the zone and all of them are, like, playing instruments or, like, doing something crazy like that, and the dude was just sign twirling.
That was like, pretty good.
The funniest thing. I'm like, you have to be there for a long time. He was, like, on a voyage, like, in a full ship. Just, like, he had been in the zone for a long time. Like, I don't know how long he'd been spinning that sign, but he was doing work out there, and it made me laugh really hard.
I love when she breaks people out of the zone. Cameron, do you know what basketball team she broke out of the zone? She's like, yes, I've been doing this to them for years.
It was the Knicks.
Yeah, it was so funny. It was a total jab at the Knicks. Yeah,
that was hilarious.
So good. Okay, so yeah, that was what I thought was funny. But I think the greater message that I found was that that there's so much in the little things to be appreciated, and that even though he had everything that he thought he ever wanted by, like, going and, like, finally getting that gig and, like, working with all these musicians that he had, like, respected for so much of his life, like, really what made him want to go back and live was the ability to live every day, just like you said, Cameron. Like, that was what, like, drove him to continue. So I think that was probably the biggest thing. And maybe also just talking about the iconic sing where she is actually just, like, dying alone in her thoughts. Like, I think what was so beautiful about them was that, like, all it took was one thing to remind her of how beautiful life was. Just that one little, like, leaf, or, like, the helicopter little leaves or whatever, that, like, brought her out of everything. Like, this huge monster, like, that was just enveloping her in, like, everything that she was so afraid of, every single thing that she, like...
I just love that he gives a little piece of a bagel to the guy playing on the street, and he's like, oh, yes! Man.
Literally! Well, I don't know. I just think that it was a good way to say, without actually saying that, like, your thoughts that they consume you aren't necessarily the end-all, be-all, you know? No, just, like, little things that can ground you again.
It's cool when images can be, like, a powerful, what's the word? Message, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't even think Joe realized that, like, he was playing a huge part in, like, every single thing that she was so sad about, you know? And, I don't know, it made me want to, like, watch my words a little more.
Yeah, I think that was kind of one of the biggest messages that I kind of took away as well, is, like, you don't realize the difference or, like, the effect you have, positive or negative, on people. And because I think a lot of those things, he said, especially kind of depending on the person's mood, they could take it a different way.
Yeah.
And especially because, like, I love it because you kind of see Joe, he kind of realizes that in the moment at the barbershop, he kind of starts to piece it together. He realizes, like, like on that's what I love is on like face value, his life is like super good person, just like doing what he's supposed to, trying his best, and you kind of realize like he's a little bit of a self-centered kind of guy who's only worried about his like ambitions and doesn't really care. He hasn't made time for like a woman in his life or anything. He just like doesn't really care. All he cares about is
his dream,
like his ambitions, yeah, and his dream. And that's why he's like, no, I like my life can't end. I need to go back and like what's called do my thing. He wasn't even worried about like his family and like his mom and how she would react or anybody else. All he cared about was his job.
He was so willing to take 22's Earth Pass. Like when she was like, oh, you can just take mine, I don't even want it. He was like, okay, sick, cool, like I want that. And so it was crazy to see like the character development. By the end, he was like, no, you can have this. This is yours. That was cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's why I thought it was the perfect end. They should have ended it right there of saying he gives his Earth Pass or whatever to her, and then he just accepts it. But then they're like, oh, don't worry, we got an extra one out of my pocket. Would you recommend this movie? A definite yes. Very resounding yes.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's necessarily for kids though. I mean, definitely adults. Like it. I mean, kids might enjoy it, but I think they would rather watch, I don't know, Curious George in comparison to this. Like, this one's deep.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, like, above the age of 10 would probably be the best. There's a couple slightly scary films or parts of the film.
But you watch any of the older Disney movies, there's a ton of dark stuff in those, so, I mean...
Yeah, oh my gosh, like the Secret of Nymph or whatever, that stuff should be rated R. Oh my gosh, this is some scary shit. Same with the leaky cauldron.
Yes!
That scary guy in that thing. Cauldron. Oh my gosh! Yes. That is the scariest movie I've ever seen in my life. Haunts me in my nightmares.
I even thought the spindle in Sleeping Beauty was terrifying. Just like
that was pretty
get hypnotized. I'm like, oh my gosh.
In Snow White, when she's like being attacked by the woods or whatever, that's terrifying.
Yeah, children movies get away with a lot of stuff. Same with the movie Ants, the worst child show of all time. It swears multiple times and it has like the worst message ever. I'm like, what the fudge am I watching? I watched it when I was like 13 after watching like a million times when I was 8, and then I was like, this is not a good movie. Perfect. And then Brighton was like, we end every podcast just talking a little bit about what you've seen recently. And then what you're looking forward to.
What I've seen recently.
And the recommendation can be from, it doesn't have to be like, oh, this week, because we know all people aren't crazy like us and actually have lives. So anything you've watched recently the past couple months.
Okay. Something, and I don't really binge watch shows, but I've been binging 2. Or I guess I binged 1, The Queen's Gambit. It's a Netflix series. I'm going to lose my mind. Have you guys not seen that?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, that's my... I cannot believe you guys haven't seen that. It is so freaking good. The Queen's Gambit. It has like 6 or 8 episodes. I don't know. They're all an hour long. Maybe a little bit more than that. I watched every single one of them in probably 2 days. They are so good. And wow,
I've seen it like all the time on top of on IMDb.
It's so good.
It's always recommended.
Incredibly good. So good.
Wait, so is it called 1 or 2 or is it called Gambit?
It's called Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit.
It's a TV show about chess. Oh, this better be good.
I didn't know anything about it. My roommate was just like, hey, like everyone's watching this on Netflix, so we should watch it. And I was like, okay. So then we did. And I forgot who I was until it was over. It was so good.
Forgot your worldly obligations. Just
literally.
On it.
Literally. So that one's really good. And then the second one is old. But it's called Lie to Me.
Very good
TV show?
Yeah.
It's so good. Oh my gosh. I absolutely love it.
Isn't it devastating that it got canceled? Boo.
Devastating.
Tim Roth is such a good actor. Tim Roth.
I think he's creepy.
No, he is really creepy. In almost all of his movies, he plays the villain.
Yeah, well, it's just that he can't, like his posture's so bad. Like, he can't walk. Like, his head's always like this, and for some reason, all the girls are, like, in love with him. Like, I don't get that part, but I really do. But I really do like the whole show. Me and my mom watch it all the time.
It's really good. What's called his, like, sort of love interest, like, his, like, coworker or whatever.
Cop girl? What? No. His partner in business. Wait, who are you?
Yes. Who are you talking about? It's been a minute since I've seen it.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit further than you.
I finished the whole series like 6 years ago, so you probably know more than me right now.
Yeah, I do watch it a lot. I'm quite up to date on it. So
Dang. No, but yeah, Tim Roth, he's a great actor.
He's in another TV show called Tin Star. It's really good. I don't recommend it, but it's really good.
okay.
It's just very dark. I don't know if you like if you like Ozark. It's kind of like House of Cards, Game of Thrones, dark.
Okay.
So
You listed every single one of the series that I've watched the first like 20 minutes of the first episode and then turned
And
on
stopped.
like, Adventure Time.
yeah, yeah, because they're dark.
They're dark.
That's the same thing as Tim Roth. I mean, sorry, Tin Star opening scene. The kid gets shot in the face. Little kid.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That
I shouldn't be laughing.
sounds like a lot. Anyways,
Oh man.
those are my recommendations.
Anything else you've seen recently, or any recommendations you've seen recently?
I saw Tenet like 3 times, but you know.
Perfect.
The normal amount of times to understand that craziness.
Well, and I still don't get it, but I like it.
Brighton, have you seen the new Wonder Woman?
Oh no, I've heard such mixed reviews about it, and I don't want to lose my faith in Wonder Woman and in.
It's on my top 10 list for worst movies of all time.
Okay, well then, and I trust
If you
that.
if you want to watch it as a comedy and watch it in a group, just like if you want to watch it in a group to roast it, it's so much fun. Like it was like an hour and like let me see how long it was. Yeah, it was 2 hours and 31 minutes of just us just bashing it. It was so much fun.
Okay, I'll write that down.
Which shout out to Pitch Meetings, if you've ever seen their videos. He is hilarious. It's similar to Honest Trailers. He just absolutely exposes movies and just kind of talks about the plot holes. Super funny. His one on Wonder Woman 1984, hilarious.
Tragic, because the first Wonder Woman was quite iconic.
Yeah, it was pretty
I
good.
would say.
I'm trying to think of something else that you would like. Go, Jordan.
Oh, I was gonna say iconic. I don't know about that. I did not like Wonder Woman. Very underwhelmed. Fell asleep at the end.
Iconic is a strong word.
Yeah, fell asleep at that monologue from the villain.
Lupin.
Not a fan. They should have spent more time with her adapting to society. I thought that was funny. Could have done the whole movie watching that.
Ask if she wants to put her social media presence on. She's pretty big, like Instagram wise or whatever.
What about you, Cameron? You have social media presence?
No, I am lackluster. Well, a resounding yes from the Future Headed Movie Gems podcast on Soul. You can send us.
Except Ty, he's boycotting Disney because of Mulan.
He's boycotting Disney and refuses to add stuff, and because of Mulan.
Filming in concentration camps
Brighton.
in China.
So you can write us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on what do you call it? I'm blanking Spotify. You can find us on Spotify, and then also send us your email or your emails at futuromoviegems@gmail.com.
No, it's just futuremovies@gmail.com.
futuremovies@gmail.com. Perfect. And then Brighton, if you wanted to give any social media presence that you would like to give a shout out.
I'd love to.
Perfect.
It would be an honor.
No, I mean, would you like to say your social media on here just in case if any of our followers want to follow you? We're giving you a shout out because we know you'll return the favor.
I'm like, obviously I'll shout out the podcast. No, Brighton Forsgren on Instagram. I just made a TikTok, Brighton with 3 eyes. I'm building a presence there. I'm on Disco, Brighton with 3 eyes.
She's essentially a social media influencer. She's pretty dang close.
Essentially. If you guys remember the Fajoto days, you remember that app? That was Brighton with 3 eyes. That was good.
That's awesome. Any other social media? That everything?
Tough. I guess not really at this point. Facebook.
Okay, perfect. Facebook. WhatsApp.
MySpace. Oh, follow me on Spotify. Brighton Forsgren.
The WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Come on, WhatsApp.
Perfect. Well, this is the Futro Hidden Gems movie crew signing off. Thank you so much, Brighton, for being on.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace.